In this video, we'll show you how to replace the front axle on your Honda Pilot. This is located in the front of the vehicle and part of the drivetrain. Let's get started. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can remove our lug nuts with a 22mm. We'll set those off to the side. It's good to use a magnet tray so you don't kick them all over the place. We need to remove our brake caliper. Before we can do that, you can decompress the caliper just a little bit by prying on the edge of the rotor on the inside through an opening. And we'll just decompress the caliper a little bit. That'll just give us enough play to pull it off the rotor. We have two 19mm bolts on the back side of the knuckle. We can go ahead and remove those. I'm going to thread that one back in just a little bit while I remove the other one. So that we don't cause damage to the hose, I'm going to hang up the caliper. There are specific caliper hangers that you can use for this. I'll just be using this cord. I'll just hang that out of the way. We have a number 3 Phillips head screw right in the middle holding the rotor to the hub. We'll go ahead and remove that. And you can remove your rotor. Remove the axle nut with a 36mm socket. We have a pinch type cotter pin holding in the nut for the ball joint. I'm just going to pry out on the inward side of that. And we can remove it. We'll remove the nut for the ball joint with a 19mm. Now we can strike the knuckle right here by the ball joint to release this. Now we can use a pry bar on the lower control arm. We'll release that from the knuckle. And just put it right off to the side. Now we can use a punch and a hammer to free up the axle from the hub. Now we can pull the knuckle off to the side, push in on the stub, and then pull out on the axle. You want to have a receptacle underneath this to catch any transfer case fluid that may come out. Now I'm going to use a small pry bar to pry in on the gap between the axle and the transfer case. Just pop that out. As we're installing our axle, you want to line up the splines in the transfer case. And then you can give the axle a little bop from the end. And there it goes. Make sure it's fully set in. It's a good idea to use a little bit of anti-seize on the end of the axle. You want to try not to get it on the threads though. Just like when we removed the axle, we can pull out on the knuckle, line up the stub, can get our pry bar back on the control arm, pry down on that, and I make sure that the splines of the axle are lined up with the hub while you do this. Now we can get the nut on. The torque spec for this is 58 to 65 foot-pounds. I can't fit my torque wrench in here, so I'm just going to tighten this to the best of my ability. And install the cotter pin. Make sure that's fully seated and locked in place. We can start on our axle nut. We'll snug that down. I'm using a pry bar to support the hub and keep it still. You want to be careful not to damage the threads of the studs. We'll torque this to 242 foot-pounds. If you thread the first nut all the way on, that'll hold the wheel for you. And now we can snug those down. We'll torque this to 94 foot-pounds in a star pattern using a 22 millimeter.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.